Hey there, this is Pam Perry. So, we're going to be doing a live show today with Derwin Boyd, and we're going to talk about the Book of Praise. Yes, we're going to do that in just a moment. Okay, so welcome to Pam's Perry's Picks. So, today we're going to be talking about the Book of Praise, and it is by the author that we have here. He is waiting in the wings. His name is Derwin Boyd. So, let me read you a little bit about this particular book that we're talking about today that is available on Amazon. Yes, you can get it on Amazon. We are streaming live right now. And one of the main things is that Derwin Boyd's The Book of Praise is an inspirational book to go to when you need that little bit of lift, insight or help. Derwin's approach is clear, simple, making it almost elegant. So he was recently featured in Voyage New York. You can go to voyagenewyork.com and actually put in his name and you'll actually see him there. The Book of Praise is a collection of really inspirational religious poetry designed to infuse the reader with faith, hope, and confidence and determination. Forged in the fires of adversity, which we'll talk about what that was, there's a poem for any situation you might be facing. From the spiritual warfare poems of Bind You Satan, Give It Back Devil, and Power Over the Enemy, and the Serpent Sting, the praise poems When Morning Dawns, Servant of the Lord, and the Morning Star Rises. Most of all, the Book of Praise is about victory. For the Lord's promise we can proclaim, wait on him, and you'll not be ashamed. So he's originally from Sherman, Texas. I think that is near Dallas, I want to say. He began writing poetry when he was a teenager, and as a member of his high school speech team, he won speech tournaments reading poetry. Maybe we can get him to read some of the poems today. I don't know if he can grab his book before I bring him up to get his book to read some of the poems. I'll give you a few minutes there. So hopefully you have it there. Uh, he has hosted open mics, taught poetry workshops, and was a former executive producer and host of the radio show The Gospel Express. He studied Mass Comm at the University of California, Davis, and he currently lives in Portland, Oregon. So with that, I'm going to bring up Derwin Boyd to the stage. Hey there.
Hi, Pam. How you doing?
Good, good. So I put you on the spot a little bit to say, do you have your book?
I have some poems here. Yes.
Okay, good, good, good. Because that's what we want to hear, right? We want to hear some of that open mic, and not that you got to do like a rap song or anything, but basically, we do want to hear you do a little bit of your books of the Book of Praise. So there's a
Yeah.
prayer for you that's on page 46, and I'll just read a little bit, and then you can read some as well. It says, "A prayer for you. I know life has been unkind, and what you need you simply can't find. But I've prayed a prayer for you. God's wisdom and grace will see you through. I pray for Jesus to be so near, and so when he speaks, his voice you'll hear. I'll pray you'll feel his gentle touch so the fires of life won't burn that much. I pray to Jesus to be at your side. Whatever you need, grace will provide. A prayer, this trial will make you strong. And through it all, you're not alone. So, one of the things, first of all, when did this book come out? And it's published by division of TBN, which is
Hmm.
everybody knows is TBN. So, how long ago did you write this, and how long did it take you to write it?
Well, Pam, I actually wrote that book when I was with Teen Challenge. Um,
Okay,
and I have to admit, I first went through the program and later I went on staff.
okay.
But while I was going
Let's
through the
let's. So I
program, I'm sorry, go ahead.
so I know Teen Challenge because we support it through our church. But explain to people what Teen Challenge is. It's not like a recreational camp.
No, it is not. And let me readjust here. Uh, Teen Challenge is it's a very structured program for people with life sustaining issues.
Hmm.
Um, Alcohol, drug, anger issues. And it's a year program.
Uh-oh. Well, it is a year-long program and people have to go through it. He kind of fell off a little bit, but Teen Challenge is one of those programs where people come out miraculously changed. And I know that our church that I belong to, they actually support Teen Challenge. And I went to a couple of their banquets, and oh my God, the people who go through the programs, and they can have all kinds of problems. They can have gone through alcohol abuse, any kind of situation where it's not nice. Okay. But they come out and they're so on fire for God, and they really turn their lives around. And so Derwin, hopefully he comes back on. I'll see him when he comes back through. Went through that program, a year-long program. It's residential. Okay, so it's residential, and I want to say the reason why they do the fundraiser is because it's free. So you can't, it's a free program, that you go through. It's Christian based. It's a Christian camp. It camp from the standpoint of that you go through rehabilitation, counseling, all those things. You have a job while you're there during the teen challenge, and they call it teen challenge because it's a youth. There's a gap between maybe uh before like being an adult, like out on your own, where you are working and that kind of thing, and you're a teen. And so Teen Challenge was what Derwin went through. And I love that program. And then he said he was on that program and then he became part of staff. And he said during that time, he actually wrote this book, The Book of Praise. I was reading today a little bit about going through the bookstore. I love books. All right. This is like Pam's Perry's Picks. So uh, I love books. And one of the things that I found about uh, praise is that when you praise, you raise your energy, you raise your vibration. And it's hard to really stay down when you're in a praise mode. So this right here, he said he wrote while he was at Teen Challenge, so a book of praise. So he give us a little bit more background about that. There you go, Derwin.
Thank you.
I kept
Lord
it
have
going, I
mercy.
kept it going. So you were in Teen Challenge, and while you were there, you wrote the book of praise.
I would like to say, Pam, that the book wrote itself, or the
Okay,
Holy Spirit wrote it through me,
okay.
because the way Teen Challenge is set up, and you know this, it's kind of like a seminary. At least the one that I was in Amarillo, So you attend classes all day long. You got prayer in the morning, then we do proverbs, and then we go hear speakers. And what was happening, and it has not happened since, not like this anyway, is that poems were coming at me. I would say they were writing themselves at the rate of 2 and 3 a day. You know, we would be in a class and be talking about a particular subject, and it would just come to me, a title or something. And
Mm,
then when the class is over with, I would just be writing.
mm-hmm,
And later on that night, we may go hear a speaker at the church or something, right?
mm-hmm.
And like, give it back, devil. That's where that came from. This pastor was talking about, spiritual warfare and stuff like that. And he just goes, give it back, devil, give it back. And I go, and it just clicked. Give it
So
back,
keep
devil. It belongs to me.
so
Because God
Derwin,
doesn't want us in misery. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
so keep your face about like right there so I can see the light on your face because it's symbolic as well. It's the light on your face. But one of the things that I remember at Teen Challenge, I spoke at it at and I didn't know it was a year-long program at the time. They just said, "Do you want to speak at Teen Challenge?" I said, "What is Teen Challenge?" And so when
Mm-hmm.
I spoke, I had everyone go around the table and they basically I said, "What are you good at?" or "What do people say that you're good at?" And so they all said different things. And someone says, "Well, I don't know what I'm good at." I said, "Well, what do you like to do?" So once they said all of that, what I did at that point is I asked everyone, I said, "Well, what kind of job would you have or what kind of business would you start?" I think it was roughly about 30 people at this particular one. And I had everybody go around, say what they were good at or what they love to do. So one person said, "I really love gardening." Just give an example. "I love
Mm-hmm.
gardening." I said, "Well, what do you think about starting a gardening business?" So
Mm-hmm.
after they came out, I said, "I want you to think further ahead about what it is that you love to do and what you want to do and how you can really monetize that as a business." And, because a lot of people said, "Well, a lot of people may not hire me because I've had these issues." I said, "Well, you can be an entrepreneur." And so a
Mm-hmm.
lot of them have gone on and they tell me that, "Thanks for your encouragement, da, da, this and that, because your gift will make room for you." And they had these gifts, but no one was really encouraging them to do the business. So when you got out of Teen Challenge, you then became like a counselor. So you knew encouragement must have been one of your gifts, and you used the encouragement gift while you were at Teen Challenge. And what other things did you find out about yourself, or besides the poetry, and actually writing the workshops, but you speak and you said open mic. So give us a little bit of what you learned about yourself and then how over the years, obviously that was a while ago, how you really turned that into a business or a ministry, so to speak.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one, Pam. Uh, I think I learned, about the encouragement stuff is when I started. Yeah, when I was teaching proverbs and things like that, and
Mhm.
the reaction I was getting from the students, the other people in Teen Challenge. And then as the poems were coming to me and stuff, they would let me read some of them at the churches and stuff. And I saw the reaction of the congregation, how they would come up and talk to me and say how it inspired them, and or they were
Mm,
going through something and it touched them, that kind of thing. And so that's when and then you said that your gift would make room for you. I heard that preached, and it was like, oh my goodness, I think I got something here, uh, something that I need to pursue. Need to I need to get this written and get this out there to touch people, to maybe change lives, and and then the idea of merchandising came in, to possibly merchandise some of the poems, because I believe several of them could be.
it
And
could be great.
and
One of the things that poems do is they make really good greeting cards. Just
mhm.
greeting cards that, I mean, we all spend money on greeting cards all the time. And whether it's a sympathy card or whether it's an encouragement card or whether it's a birthday card, but poems make really, really good gifts. And so one of the main things that I like about it is that, you have one in here about the gift of healing, right?
Mhm.
And that could be good for someone who's in the hospital, right?
Mm.
You give them a flower, flowers die, whatever. But then you give them a poem and they keep it and they put it on their bulletin board, or they keep it forever. So that's kind of the things that so I'll ask you this. So when you were writing the book of praise, had you already accepted Jesus as Lord and Savior, or was it something that was happened while you were at Teen Challenge, or what was the timing of it, I guess you would say, because a lot of them seem to lead people deeper into a relationship with God.
That's a really good question. The thing is that, being originally from Texas, I grew up in the church. I was raised by
Bible
my
Belt.
grand.
Mhm.
Huh?
It's a Bible Belt. Texas
Yeah,
is a Bible Belt. Mhm.
exactly. I was raised by my grandparents, and grandmama was gonna make sure we went to Sunday school and church. So, So yeah, I grew up in the church, but as a teenager, I kind of fell out a little bit, but it was always there in my, that's still
Mhm.
there. But when I got to Teen Challenge, because I was dealing with those issues and things like that, uh, it just came back full force. I learned to fast and pray, something I had never done before. And
Huh.
Pam, I don't know, you probably have done this or have heard people who have done this. That when you fast and pray, oh my goodness, I mean, words was just jumping off the Bible, just jumping up into your face, and you knew he was talking to you. The Holy Spirit was talking to you.
And
And
the and
so,
and just for those that don't know, when you fast, you mean like there's no food and you're not spending time thinking about food, you're not spending time eating the food, you're not spending time making the food. You basically are on a what I call a, you know, a lull where there's okay, so you have this extra time and there's nothing to do, and so you do have to meditate, and so you're fasting from television, sometimes you fast from food, and some people
hmm
have water and that kind of thing, but for the most
hmm
part it's so simple that you don't have to think about it because we spend a lot of time figuring out what we're going to eat, drink, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and that takes up a lot of time. So when you fast and pray, that's one of the things where you're just spending the time just really being in God's presence. And so during that time, your gift, because not everybody's gift is going to jump off the page like yours. So having words that make sense and rhyme is something that God was speaking to you about. Do you have a favorite poem, I guess you would say, that you'd like to share with with us so that we can kind of get an idea? The one that I read, A Prayer for You, that's one of my favorite because it's very personal and it just says I pray for you.
uh, I have several actually, but yeah, I love that one too. And another thing you said about the gift of healing, I actually sent that to a friend of mine who was going through some medical situations, and sh- and she just really loved it, you
Yep,
know.
that's it.
And
That's
then that's what tells me that I wrote this for the world,
mhm.
basically, to touch people where they are and to hopefully make them feel better. And so when you said that, it made me think about that. Her name is Penny, and she was really dealing with something, and it just came to me. Lord spoke to me. Send her that, Derwin. I sent
Wow.
it to her, and she just loved it, and she's doing better too, by the way.
That is
But
good. Not
but
surprising, but
probably
I know that.
but probably my most favorite one is because I wrote this because this is where I was at the time. Is reborn because it talks about how you know how we go through things in life, how it can we can get knocked down and stuff, but as we give it to God, to the Lord, we can rise again and go forward.
Mhm, mhm.
And so, reborn.
Okay.
There are times we're trashed with life's litter, and love's defection can make us bitter. When our hopes and dreams become extinct, each step we take, we begin to sink. When our goals nurtured reach rejection, we then must stop for a thorough introspection. With renewed vigor and the Lord's strength, we'll rise again without giving an inch. We'll dry our tears where there was defeat, reclaim the ground we lost in retreat. We're stronger and wiser from this tribulation. Replace disappointment with a new determination. Battered but not beaten, torn but didn't tear. We didn't give up because Jesus was there. There's now a road where there had been thorns. Instead of despair, we have been reborn.
I love that. I don't know if you heard my applause.
Is that what that was?
I'm trying to work it so that it actually goes through the actual sound. So I'm thinking it's going
I heard it, but I didn't know what it was. I can't hear you right now, though. What happened?
through. Can you hear me?
Uh,
Can you hear me now? There we go.
yes. There we
Okay.
go.
All right. So one of the main things too, I was trying to make sure that I heard the sound as well as that, but be better, not bitter is one of the
Oh
ones.
yeah.
Let me describe how it can affect you and I. Being bitter is bad judgment. Do not hold do not hold to this torment. It is poison. It is not Christ. It will turn a loving soul to ice. And so the whole point of really poetry is that words are powerful, first of all, but the thing that really, when you're reading poetry, it synopsis a lot of feelings down into a few syllables, which is
Hmm.
pretty amazing when you think about it, because you can really talk about this for hours, but in a poem you can do it in a few phrases. But the last part, it says, never give in to bitterness. It is better to have contentment, for being better is the enemy. After B, change the I to E to have victory. And so a lot of that, people spend a lot of time writing poetry, reciting. Basically, music is poetry as well.
Hmm.
One of my favorite poets, Christian poets, is Helen Steiner Rice.
I
And
love her
so
too.
a lot of her books, a lot of her poems are in books, but they're also greeting cards as well. And I just
Hmm.
remember reading that a long time ago. So how do you teach poetry? That's one of the things, Derwin. How do you teach poetry?
That's a real good uh, question, but I can answer that because I had the experience of teaching a poetry workshop. But I did it with the help of a young lady um, named Rachel Jameson Webster, who I would like to introduce her to you because she's also an author and
Okay.
professor at Northwestern University.
Okay.
Okay, and this is how Rachel did it. Okay, I was in the class with her, so this is how you do it with assignments. Okay, I was asked to, because I was doing the open mic stuff here in Portland, and people heard about me and things, and then I had the radio show and all that, and so the Portland Urban League, asked me to come do a poetry workshop at their alternative high school, the Street Academy at the time. And I had never taught a poetry workshop. I obviously did open mics and, some book signings and stuff like that, and read poetry on the air and all that, and had guests and stuff. And so I happened to meet at my job. I mentioned this to one of my coworkers, whose girlfriend was Rachel's roommate, and she goes, "Hey, Derwin, my roommate Rachel wants to do a poetry workshop for her senior assignment. Because at Lewis and Clark, in your major, you have to do a senior assignment for your degree." And Rachel was already a published poet, won an award from the Academy of American Poets and all that stuff, right? So I
Hmm.
met Rach and we talked, and I had no idea how organized she was. And obviously, I accepted her in, and we did the class. But how we did it, how you teach poetry, is you do it with assignments. She had created a whole syllabus for the whole semester, and so
Wow.
you would have different writing assignments for people to write about certain things to get them to concentrate on putting that to paper, and maybe give, can you do it in so many lines, and
Mm.
can you do it in so many stanzas and stuff like that. And so that's one of the beginning phases of how you start to teach people to write poetry. Then obviously you share poetry with them so they can see how other poets have written poetry and how it's structured, and so they can get an idea of that.
Mhm.
And what we did too, Pam, at the end of the session, we published the kids' poetry in a chapbook that the
Oh,
Ur-
that's so cool. That is so cool.
and
Yes.
put them in all the bookstores in Portland. And the Urban League actually used those chapbooks as part of their fundraiser for many years to
Mhm.
come for that.
That's a great idea. That is a great idea. There's another poem too, Derwin, that I like. It's called Tomorrow About This Time. I'll just read the beginning of it. It says,
Yep.
Tomorrow about this time, God's something for you. Tomorrow about this time, He'll make your dreams come true. Raise your hands and praise Him. Dance and sing about, because tomorrow about this time, you'll have a reason to shout. Tomorrow about this time, God has something to say. Tomorrow about this time, He will make a way. And so a lot of your poems, I could hear, I don't know if you're musically inclined, but you
Yes,
could
I
put
am.
okay, so you could put music to them as well and
Yeah, I'm
make them
also a
song.
songwriter.
Okay. That I was gonna say that's part of it as well, because basically poems are songs. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
the book of Psalms is really poetry, but it's Psalms because it's songs, so
Mm-hmm.
in the Bible, so that kind of thing. It says revelation for your situations. So stay in the race. Tomorrow about this time, you will see God's grace. Tomorrow about this time, the work is already done. Tomorrow about this time, the battle has been won. And so it's like one of those things where you always talk about victory and encouragement. I was reading today, browsing the bookstore again, as I always do,
Mm-hmm.
books about hope, books about joy, books about encouragement, inspiration. And these are the things that people need, especially today. There's so many things. If you keep the news on all day, you'll just really feel down, even if you
Mm-hmm.
could have had a good day, but still put on the news. And it's like, oh my God, this world is just a crazy. There's
Mm-hmm.
a book on, again, this book is on Amazon. On page 81, there's a book called Masterpiece, a poem called Masterpiece. So I really like that one as well. But the thing of it is, you had TBN publish this book. So tell us how
Mm-hmm.
that process came about.
Oh, Pam, I don't know if you remember, but it's been many years ago that I originally reached out to you and about when I published it in the first edition
Mhm.
with I forget the name of that publisher. You did not like them, and you turned out to be right too. I should have
I
listened to
would
you.
I would tell you the truth. That's for sure. Mhm.
so anyway, I went through them and the contract in it and all that, and I put it on the shelf, right? But I've always felt that God wanted to do something with those poems to reach people and stuff.
Mhm.
And here's how this happened. I had turned off my cable for a few years, to save money and all that, and just had rabbit ears, right? And then I got tired of that, so I turned my cable back on. And then I landed on TBN, right? I said, "Wow, I haven't watched this in a while." So I was sitting there watching TBN, and then as soon as they went to break, they said Trilogy Publishing,
Their
publish your
division.
book with TBN with Trilogy Publishing, and I go, "What? I didn't know they had a publishing house." And I looked over in the corner at my collection of poems. And so I called them and they said, "Yeah, Derwin, we would love to see them, blah, 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 kind of thing." And I sent it in and they liked them. And yeah.
That's it.
Mm
That was it.
hmm.
And
Mm hmm.
and the thing of it is that people don't understand that a lot of the publishing houses, Christian publishing houses, there's Zondervan, there's Moody,
Mm hmm.
there's Thomas Nelson, there's so many different um, publishing houses, but you have to find the right publishing house for your work.
Mm
And it
hmm.
can take a while. And sometimes, reaching out to me and I'll tell you, yes, this one is good. No, that one isn't.
Mm hmm.
Uh, and a lot of times, even Charisma Magazine, they have Charisma House, they have theirs. They're very good as well. But you want to make sure that you're finding the right house. They call it a house, publishing house, because you're living with that publisher for a
Mm
while
hmm.
in that house. So you want to make
Mm
sure that they get you and you get them. So I really, really appreciate that you took the time and listened and then got the book done. And now it's on Amazon and people can actually get it anywhere. I mean, they get it
hmm.
anywhere where they can get it, and they can even order it because it is through a publishing house. It's not through Amazon, but they can actually order it at a bookstore and actually have it come there as well. So I want people to know how they can get in touch with you if they want you to come and speak, or they want you to come do a book signing or a book talk. How can they reach you? What's the best way?
What's the best way?
Facebook or
Well, Facebook is one.
okay,
Um, no doubt about that. You can definitely message me on Facebook.
okay, and
I'm
that's
getting my.
Derwin Boyd on Facebook.
Mhm. I'm developing my website. That's the number one priority I'm working on right now. So,
Okay, all
Der,
right,
derwinboard.com is going to be here in the very, very near future. So
good, good.
check with that.
But the main thing, if they want to get you right now, they can always go to Facebook. Facebook is there, so go
Mhm.
search for Derwin Boyd uh, on Facebook, and they can message you there. I love Facebook. I mean, you could be around the world, around the country. You can make sure that you are going to be connected because of that. So yeah, and
Yes, ma'am.
actually too, a lot of people send things back and forth between Android and iPhone. Sometimes they don't communicate, and so if I'm trying to send a video and I send it to an Android on my iPhone, and they'll be like, it's too small, so I have to go through Facebook. So anyway, thank you, Facebook, for all the things that you do. So
Yes.
with that, thank you so much, Derwin. We are right at time, but thank you so much for writing the book of praise. I appreciate you, and thank you for joining us today on Pam Perry's Picks.
Thank you,
Thank
Pam. Appreciate
All right,
you.
bye-bye. Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
So that is the book of praise. You see it live right here. It's available on Amazon, and make